services to our customers that included telephone and online connect and disconnect services, and we're real happy about that. So with the assistance of our building maintenance team, we were able to be one of the first city buildings open to provide direct customer services to our residents through the installation of COVID-19
I believe the
safety
video line
protocol
muted.
features. We continue to implement efficiencies with the outsourcing of our utility bills, remote services for our employees, and leveraging technology for the implementation of a new timekeeping system and building access. And finally, we were able to secure a very favorable credit rating for the city that allowed us to develop a team to develop a finance package for funding the city's first police facility.
I'm Chris Frederickson, the Public Works Director for the City of Idaho Falls. I have the distinct pleasure of working with 120 of the finest employees that make up this department. This past year, as our community dealt with the COVID-19 pandemic, Public Works employees, the majority of which are deemed essential workers, found innovative ways to ensure that city services continued. Our engineering group designed and constructed approximately 24 projects worth nearly $8 million. These projects included the 12th Street Bridge replacement, installation of 3 pedestrian hybrid beacons that will provide safer pedestrian crossings of our increasingly busy roadways. They included innovative pavement maintenance projects that will save the city money over the course of our pavement's life cycle. Other projects included replacing aging water and sewer lines and making improvements at our wastewater treatment plant and our municipal wells. Our GIS division provided essential mapping to help inform the public and track our city's utility assets. Our sanitation division drivers logged nearly 250,000 miles while hauling 400,000 cubic yards of refuse to the Bonneville County Transfer Station and nearly 700 tons to recyclers. Early last year, our street division dealt with unprecedented snow accumulation, keeping our roadways open. They also finished the construction of a missing piece of Saturn Avenue, thereby providing better multimodal access to properties in between Broadway and Pancari Drive. Our water division ensured that patrons had access to nearly 8.5 billion gallons of water, and our wastewater division collected and treated over 3.5 billion gallons of wastewater before returning it to the Snake River to be used for other beneficial uses downstream. All of this happened while our nation struggled with the pandemic. These Public Works employees proudly served the citizens of Idaho Falls, ensuring that essential services were maintained. I applaud their efforts in keeping our city moving.
This year, the City Attorney's Office was involved in some things that were a little bit different. We worked on COVID because there were ever-changing regulations and reactions to that affected people in the city, affected the way we do public meetings and access to public records and public meetings, and to the elected officials. So that was an interesting thing for us and a challenge for an attorney, and interesting for the way things were done by the government. In addition, we worked on the financing for the Law Enforcement Center and put together a certificates of participation package that was successful, that will allow us to have a police department after many years that's unified and consolidated. We also worked on prosecution services, which changed because access to the courts and the way we did our pretrial hearings was not the same as it normally has been. There's some delay in some of our litigation. We were able to participate in the purchase of an extension of property north of our airport, which supports our regional airport efforts. And also, there is a really wide range of legal issues that we get to be interested in and involved in, and we try to give as good legal advice as we possibly can so that the citizens are protected in their rights and the government functions in a way that's predictable.
Started out as a great year in the library. We had our big blocks that kids really enjoyed playing with. We had a new program we were going to introduce. It's a kindergarten preparation class for kids to prepare so they kind of know what kindergarten's going. We got that all ready to go, and then COVID hit. And as everybody knows, COVID was just wonderful. It shut the library down for 6 weeks. We were closed all of April. We opened again in May. It introduced all sorts of wonderful things: masks, social distancing. Due to COVID and the restrictions we're under, we did lay off 10% of our full-time staff, about half of our part-time staff. We did summer reading a new way. It was totally virtual, which was not as great as before, but we made do. The year continued to go on. We continued to be open. We did a lot of virtual. We did curbside pickup. We're currently open for everybody to come in. We do request that people wear masks and practice social distancing. And we have a lot of new stuff going on. Extreme Book Nerd just started. So we're really excited to do that again this year. And we look forward to COVID being over and being back to business as usual.
All right, so 2020 was a really unique year for the Idaho Falls Police Department. You know, everyone had a different experience through 2020. When the pandemic hit, we couldn't shut down. So we were a full-service police department throughout the entire year, including when we had almost a third of our staff quarantined because they had been exposed to the virus. So that was something that was really unique. Another thing about 2020, you saw a large national conversation on policing. We saw riots around the country, reform-minded people all over the country. And we spent a long time this year talking with all sorts of community groups and talking to people that care about policing and why policing is important. And there were a lot of things, ideas that people brought up. Most of those ideas the police department already implemented years before, but it was a good conversation. One of the things that was really neat about Idaho Falls is during this big national conversation, the Idaho Falls police officers couldn't go to lunch, couldn't go to a store to get a soda or get a drink without a good citizen of Idaho Falls wanting to pay for their soda or pay for their lunch. That was happening every day. They couldn't go more than just a few hours without someone stopping them to say thank you for what you do. One of the challenges we're looking at this year and going into the future is recruiting. We continue to have a real difficult time to find people that want to go into law enforcement. We have a real difficult time filling all of our vacancies, and so that's one of our great challenges, and we'll be working on that diligently this next year. And one of our great successes this year is that the City Council approved the funding for our new police facility, and so that's being developed and planned through an architect. It's been 3 decades that people have been talking about, looking at, trying to get this thing done. So after 3 decades of work, it's really excited that got done this year. And so a difficult year for the police department, a challenging year for the police department, a great year for the police department, and we look forward to the future.
As with other city functions, the pandemic of 2020 brought to the HR department a lot of interesting twists and turns. Fortunately, with the professional and innovative staff, we were able to get through that successfully. In March, when the pandemic hit, we were faced with interpreting and administering new sick leave and family medical leave laws, working arrangements from home, questions regarding quarantines and other working arrangements. Then in April, we had to cancel some leadership training we had through the Arbinger Institute. In August, a busy month in HR, we normally have open enrollment with employee meetings. We had to change that and do all of that online. In September, we were able to reschedule the Arbinger leadership training online, which was also a great success. If you'd come to the HR department in December, you would have seen socially distanced employees getting their pictures taken for new ID badges for all employees. Besides the things I've mentioned, the normal work of HR was carried out effectively, including hiring, terminations, disciplinary issues, and so on.
At Idaho Falls Power and Idaho Falls Fiber, 2020 was certainly a busy year. We focused a lot on improving our infrastructure, both existing infrastructure, replacing aging infrastructure, and looking at our growth for in the future, especially on the Idaho Falls Fiber side. But first, with Idaho Falls Power, we built an extensive infrastructure over in the Snake River Landing area, which will allow us to move forward with a connection of event centers coming in, along with the hotels and other businesses that are growing out in that area. So we're excited to be staged up, ready for the future out there. And then also, a lot of the summer is really focused on building out the fiber optic network. But the key thing that we did with the fiber optic network build was also taking advantage to replace aging electric infrastructure. So we replaced over 20,000 feet of direct buried electric infrastructure. These were areas where people were experiencing reliability issues. It was 40-year-old conductor. So we put conduit in the ground for electric and then also for fiber. So now those areas of town are enjoying being able to get connected to our fiber optic network. We also put in the ground 80,000 feet of conduit for the future to replace aging electrical once some of that other direct buried continues to go out. So, pivoting back to the fiber optic network, which continued to grow over the summer, we built 90 miles, yes, 90 miles of fiber optic cable this year. And with that, we also installed and built 12 fiber optic huts that will deliver the high-speed broadband to the various areas of the city. So continuing to grow.
The Idaho Falls Fire Department started 2020 in an exciting time. We were excited as I was coming into my first year as being chief. And March happened, and we all faced COVID. And in March, that changed the world of firefighting. We faced everything from COVID to wildfires this year, with many fires this year inside the city. We had many injuries, including some fatalities this year. We mourn with those families that lost loved ones this year. The wildfire season was a busy one, with 20 fires, 7 states. Many firefighters going out to assist other state and federal and state agencies. We made the most of that season with increased revenue and offset. We are putting new radios now on every firefighter that was desperately needed. We placed new hardware into our engines to respond quicker and better tie to dispatch. As we ended the year, we brought in a new red fire engine for the first time in decades. We had been yellow before. We went back to our traditional red and brought in our new engine. As we see COVID still continuing on, we've created a point of distribution site so that we can assist with vaccines, making us a safer community. Those things that were challenges of 2020, we're excited for 2021 and the new challenges that we will face, but also the stronger, safer community, city, and department that will be.
So for community development services, I think like a lot of departments, a lot of businesses, there was just so much unexpected and wondering what the world was going to be like when COVID-19 hit. When the year started off, before things really came unraveled with the virus, we were really set up for a big year of development. We knew a lot of projects were coming. And so when that hit, we were really worried. What was the community going to look like? How was our contracting community going to respond? And how would our city grow, or would it really slow down? And we expected, just based on everything we'd heard, that there would be a slowdown. So we started really digging into some key indicators for how our work would be. And surprisingly, we didn't slow down at all. In fact, 2020 for our department, both building division and planning division, was one of the busiest we've ever had. In planning in particular, we had more projects, more reviews, more work than we've ever had since we've been tracking these statistics. In community development services, we are just looking forward to things changing, getting back to normal, whatever that might mean. And then really just seeing what growth brings. This is an exciting time to live in Idaho Falls, to work in Idaho Falls, and we're really looking forward to the future.
It's been a challenging year here, but this year, as it has for all aviation organizations. We finished out this year for passengers and operations at about 50% of the previous year of 2019, so that has been very challenging for our revenue and our increasing costs. So we met many challenges throughout the pandemic, but there has been some bright spots, if you can say, for 2020. We were able to start construction and expansion of the new terminal building. Once that's complete, we'll have double the size of our gates, going from 3 gates to 6, increase the size of the terminal holding spaces, and also increase the size and the efficiency of the TSA security screening areas. So it'll be very nice in the future. We're hoping as the project is complete, we'll plan on completing this project this summer, And at the same time, we're hoping that the pandemic and the economy will start recovering, and we'll be in a really good position to start attracting more airlines and a lot more service to serve the citizens of the region.
What a year 2020 was. From the great things that the Parks and Recreation Department did in our community to the trying times of the global pandemic, 2020 presented a myriad of challenges and opportunities for us in the Parks and Recreation Department. Through it all, though, not only did our department complete a Parks and Recreation comprehensive master plan, identifying community priorities and strategies to bring those priorities to fruition, but we kept our facilities open as much as possible. We created recreational opportunities for our community, facilitated safe and fun experiences for families, and did all that with a smile on our face, allowing the community to have a little bit of normalcy through a tough year. 2020 definitely kept us on our toes. The Recreation Division, the Parks and Cemeteries, golf courses, and the Idaho Falls Zoo dealt with ever-changing facility guidelines and staff expectations on a weekly or if not even a daily basis. We were understaffed and overwhelmed, but our staff stuck together. We do believe in the city's core value of one city, one team, so we helped fill in for each other wherever it was needed. Programs, education classes, summer camps, lessons, leagues, and special events were nearly non-existent in 2020. But our amazing staff found ways to adapt their positions and offerings in a way that kept participants safe, socially distanced, and engaged in recreational activities, all while being stewards of your tax dollars. To the citizens of Idaho Falls, thank you for your continued support for the Parks and Recreation Department. We truly appreciate you and look forward to seeing you in 2021.
I would like to thank IE Productions for their assistance with editing this video, and they did it all in a relatively short amount of time. I'd also just like to convey the great regard that I have for the talents, the skills and abilities, and the personalities represented by all of these directors. This organization, that is the City of Idaho Falls, has a great many outstanding folks associated with it. So, looking ahead, what does the future hold for Idaho Falls? For Parks and Recreation, 2021 means pandemic safety protocols like masking and social distancing will continue to impact department programming. And we'll do that for as long as it takes until we have, green light that it's okay to be together and to relax some of those protocols. Last year, Idaho Falls golf courses were among the very first in the state to reopen. We led the way across the entire state for developing pandemic-friendly golf course guidelines. I feel confident that 2021 will provide another excellent golf season. The Idaho Falls Zoo at Thomas Park also developed safe visiting protocols to allow guests to enjoy being outdoors. So be sure to include that in your spring and summer planning. 2021 will bring the long-awaited splash pad to Reinhardt Park this summer. My hope is that when it's done, we'll be able to open it, right? Because we'll have to do that when it's safe. Plans for a full restoration of Funland are rolling forward in 2021, as well as preparation for the 75th anniversary of this beloved local theme park. And that will happen in 2022. And so everybody is invited to donate to support this restoration. Our Riverwalk and other biking and walking trails receive steady use in Idaho Falls year-round. In 2021, we expect to begin construction of additional trails along canal pathways that are in the heart of the city. When complete, we'll be even more connected by more multi-use trails. Going on to the airport, just as it was before the shutdown, IDA is still poised for phenomenal growth in 2021. In fact, we received some good news this week that you may have read about, with Allegiant Airlines announcing that they will serve Portland from Idaho Falls starting in May. And we think that's going to be about twice a week or so. And we continue to work with other airlines to provide more service to West Coast destinations like Seattle. In recent years, several airlines have expressed interest in offering routes at IDA because Idaho Falls is a good potential market for them. But potential is not enough because airlines are businesses that must make money to survive. This is why now most traditional airlines that are in operation today require a guarantee of sufficient revenue directly from each new market before they'll even establish a route. This money is collected in a revenue guarantee fund. And if you have a healthy revenue guarantee fund, then you are attractive. If you don't have a healthy one or one at all, then chances are, even if you look good on paper, an airline won't locate there. So with the many opportunities ahead for establishing more connections at IDA, it's really important for Idaho Falls to grow a revenue guarantee fund that is substantial, because we know that is key to attracting new airlines and new routes. Any business leaders in eastern Idaho who wish to support development of new routes and new air service, please reach out to me or any city elected official, and we can explain more about this, and maybe you can participate in the Revenue Guarantee Fund program. Going to community development services. As Director Kramer mentioned in the video, 2020 housing starts in Idaho Falls showed no signs of slowing down with the shutdown, and we see the same. We see the same for 2021. People just want to move here. The nationwide housing shortage prompted us to form a special team consisting of local public and private sector experts to prepare us for this growth. This group is called Idaho, and they are working with partners to meet the housing choice and affordability needs of all who want to locate in Idaho Falls. We don't, as a city, build housing, but we can certainly do all we can to attract those who do and make sure that that there's less red tape and good support from the city to be able to help those construction projects roll forward. But I have to tell you, we care about more than just building new homes and new housing opportunities. We also care about building a strong community with great neighborhoods. And so in 2021, Community Development Services will lead as the city undertakes a major update to its comprehensive plan. We will host individual neighborhood meetings where citizens will be invited to speak with the city's professional planners about the part of the city that matters most to them, which is where they live. So watch for more information in the coming weeks about how you can participate in these neighborhood meetings. Moving on to public works. Early 2020 saw the culmination of public outreach and study on the location and style of the new replacement water tower. Our city's need for a new tower is really not new news anymore. The fact is that repairing the existing tower, due to its age and the large number of issues requiring repair, is not it's not the safest or the most cost-effective alternative for us. And so for the money, it wouldn't really result in enough capacity to serve the city's needs in the future. Throughout 2021, this coming year, we will be doing the background work necessary to begin construction of the new tower in the spring of 2022. There's a lot of design work and right-of-way access and stuff like that has to be done. But this new tower will meet those essential safety guidelines, and it will double the holding capacity and serve as the backbone of our city's water system for years and decades to come. Another one of the lasting lessons of 2020 is that having high speed connectivity for all residents is a need. It's not a want anymore. Our fiber optic build-out is moving across the city at a faster rate than we had initially predicted. That could be because some areas of town are much easier to hook up than others. If you live in an area where your electricity comes through overhead power lines, then chances are that fiber service has already passed by your home, or it soon will be. The parts of town with underground wires that require that installation of conduit, and that takes more construction effort to install, and that can only be done at certain times of the year. So depending on where you live, that will dictate the speed at which fiber comes to you. When it comes to both internet connectivity as well as electricity itself, reliability is the key. Idaho Falls Power has an industry-leading reliability rating. And as our utility continues to grow, maintaining that reliability requires redundancy, which in turn requires continued investment. So we're constantly making improvements and constantly doing the work of expanding and replacing old, outworn assets. But in 2021, we're going to begin construction on a new substation. new substation north of town, along with 18 miles of high voltage power lines to connect it to the local grid. And that should give us that redundancy that will give us the reliability that we need. So, for public safety, 2021 will be a year when both the police and fire departments can focus on internal improvements. The police department will be working on design and other preparations for the new law enforcement complex, and they will continue to review internal police department policies to ensure that each of them aligns with national best practice standards. For fire, 2021 is the year that we're going to purchase a new ladder truck for the fire department. This apparatus is crucial for firefighting and performing rescues in tall buildings. Finally, the Idaho Falls Fire Department is serving as a COVID-19 vaccination point for the community, and that will probably carry on for for many, many months. The primary emphasis right now is having our department help with vaccinating other first responders from throughout the region. That'll be followed by having them work with essential municipal workers for our city and perhaps others. And then after that, whatever public health needs, our department will be ready to help in terms of rolling out vaccines. So even in a pandemic year like the one that we've had, Idaho Falls, you see, is a community that's ascending. But we know that our future isn't just all about what city departments are doing. It's also about what's happening outside the city, just within the private sector. And we have a lot going on there. Idaho Falls has dynamic businesses and industries in its midst. Businesses like Idahoan develop innovative Idaho potato products and then deliver them as products all over the world. Kayani has developed remarkable nutritional products containing Idaho-based products, and they also have global distribution. You'll recall that 2019 brought significant growth in our healthcare sector, and that was completed just in time to assist with the pandemic in 2020. The entire region would be in a much different, and I would say much worse situation if Idaho Falls Community Hospital had not opened and if ERMAC had not remodeled. Something I am truly thankful for this past year was that we had these hospitals in our midst. Costco opened its doors in August 2020 and has been one of the most highly profitable stores in the chain ever since. Excellent retail opportunities like this are a result of growth in other sectors. The kind of growth that provides people with quality jobs and incomes that allow them to have money for discretionary spending at places like Costco. We're also really fortunate that the federal programs out on the Idaho site provide these kinds of jobs that provide that good income. The Naval Reactors Facility, Idaho National Laboratory, and the Idaho Cleanup Project are each in growth and development mode right now. When the new Congress gets underway, really gets underway, and starts doing work and not politics, right? We expect it will give attention to environment and energy issues. Now is the time that we're going to see decades of excellent research and science and top-notch engineering by all of the first-rate contractors who've been working for the Nuclear Navy and DOE. They're going to start really bringing rewards home to Idaho Falls, or to Idaho, but Idaho Falls is in the middle of it, will benefit. The nuclear energy sector is a major stop on the path to a non-carbon emitting energy future. And because of that, INL will be the source of lots of exciting news over the next decade. We can expect announcements for demonstration projects and other first-in-kind advanced nuclear projects, such as the VTR, or Virtual Test Reactor, that was recently announced. Throughout 2021, the Idaho Cleanup Project will continue to deliver on its commitment to get waste out of Idaho and remediate the affected sites. That includes the planned startup of the Integrated Waste Treatment Unit, or IWTU. This is a first-of-a-kind facility to process legacy liquid waste that was produced during the Cold War and then brought to, it was produced in other states, then brought to Idaho and stored there. And it's just been there for far too long. So we're very thankful for the scientists and the technicians who are working to move the IWT project along safely, quickly, and affordably. Quickly, some people might chuckle, but the progress that's been made in the last couple of years has indeed been quick compared to the progress that was made prior to that. All this activity in our region's largest industry, the energy and technology sectors and the nuclear and Navy sector will impact Idaho Falls and much of eastern Idaho. I've been studying this and watching their plans and meeting regularly with contractors, legislators, higher education experts, transportation officials, representatives from the trades, and others who are preparing for this wave of construction and that all of these projects are going to bring to us. There's a lot to consider, but it's worthwhile because this kind of growth brings that quality employment and opportunity to our community. Now, most citizens are ready to embrace this wave of prosperity, but occasionally someone will tell me they are concerned about change or too much growth, or they'll say to me that they like Idaho Falls just the way it is, and they don't want to see it change very much. I absolutely understand that sentiment, and to a certain degree, I share that point of view. We live in a great community, and it is natural to worry that growth might change that. But the historical reality is that Idaho Falls has always been changing. The historical data on the slide that's up now show that growth in our city's population over the past 100 years, it shows that. It shows the growth in our population. The number for 2020 is an estimate. I expect it actually to probably be greater than what this chart shows when the census numbers finally come in. But these data show us that growth and change are actually very normal for Idaho Falls. But look at the chart. Take a look at the growth between and the amount of change between 1950 and 1960. That's a bigger jump than you see anywhere else. And I'm kind of just wondering, was that the result of proactive policy at the city level, or was that just the good old-fashioned baby boom? I don't know, but it's an interesting chart. Anyway, in reality, a city that's not growing or changing is a city that's stagnant. It is a city that can't provide jobs and opportunities for the next generation. That means it's a city that exports its talent and its young people. It's a city that does not age well. That's not the kind of Idaho Falls I envision for us. It's not the kind of Idaho Falls we're building. It's not the kind of Idaho we want to live in. The key to growing without losing our character is planning for and managing the growth. So how do we do that? We do it with excellent planning and zoning. We do it with consumer-friendly business codes, with planning for parks, open spaces, and amenities. We do it with policy and personnel that attract excellent businesses and the kinds of people that want to work for excellent businesses. We do it by being a community that pays attention to its transportation corridors, including great spaces and creating spaces for bikes, pedestrians, cars, and public transit. And we do it by tracking the impacts that the growth is going to have on first responders so that we can always meet and provide high standards for public safety when it comes to fire and police and ambulance service. So I expect the coming months to bring what we've been waiting for since those first weeks last March. We really can't celebrate enough the scientific minds and the enormous global effort that has resulted in the vaccines that will confer needed protection from COVID-19. But we're not quite there yet. Whenever a vaccine is introduced, we know that not everyone will be able to receive it. There are some whose bodies will not be able to tolerate the vaccine for one reason or another. This makes it really important that those who can receive the vaccine do so as soon as it becomes available to them. This is how we achieve the now familiar herd immunity that we've talked about for all these months. The percentage of the population that needs to be vaccinated to achieve herd immunity varies by disease. COVID-19 is new enough that the rate has not yet been identified, but experts right now suggest that it is at least 75 to 80% of the population that has to be vaccinated in order for us to have herd immunity. Herd immunity is all about protection for the most vulnerable members of our community, including infants, pregnant women, and those who have allergies to vaccine components, and others who just can't tolerate that vaccine. We want to be able to get to a point where even if a person gets sick, there's minimal chance of an outbreak because so many of the people around him or her will be vaccinated and the disease just won't have any place to spread. That's how smallpox was eradicated. That's what herd immunity is all about. And it happens with vaccine at those high enough levels, that 75 to 80% or more rate. So We know it's going to take several months yet before we will have enough vaccine available in eastern Idaho to achieve that high rate. This means that social distancing, masking, and limited interactions will still be needed for the next several months. So I just really want to take a moment to express my gratitude to those who are doing all they can to navigate the pandemic safely. We know we're tired of it, but I especially want to thank those who are able to navigate this kindly. Now, perhaps more than ever, given the outburst of passion, emotion, and then resulting violence that we witnessed in our country last year, I think now more than ever, compassion, consideration, and patience might be the key to getting to the end of the pandemic safely. So I have just one final story to tell. We know that social isolation is difficult. Friends and friendships play a key role in development, and that's particularly so for young people. We've talked a lot about mental health recently, and this has been a worry for me and probably for everyone who's a parent. It's in an attempt to combat isolation, improve mental health, and bring a little bit of joy to these final innings of the pandemic. We have teamed up with some of the very best in our community to provide 6 inspiring and family-friendly online productions for the entire community. This team of folks that I've been working with includes IE Productions, the Downtown Events Center, also known as the DEC, and the Idaho Falls Arts Council. We're also fortunate to have Idaho Falls Council President Zeal Digman and her wide range of talents, as well as mental health expert Dr. Matt Larson as advisors and commentator for this series. So for about the next 6 weeks, starting this Saturday at 5:30 p.m., we will be presenting the Idaho Falls Family Happy Hour. It's an online variety show consisting of entertainment, a motivational speaker, and other informative programs for everyone to enjoy. Now, to make these experiences possible without charge, we've been working to bring together generous area sponsors who share our desire to bring a little joy into our community during these difficult times. This week's inaugural program is a 2-part comedy act. You can watch it when it first airs at 5:30 p.m. this Saturday, or you can watch it anytime after that on YouTube. You can learn more by searching for Idaho Falls Family Happy Hour on Facebook. Not all the details have been finalized yet. We've been working on this just a short time, and it's coming together beautifully and quickly, but we're just not completely done planning. But be sure to like the page so that you can get updates. We're also going to have details on the city's webpage. But I'll tell you that the Idaho Falls Family Happy Hour embodies so much of what I love about our community. Idaho Falls is a place where creativity, service, and generosity come together often. We in Idaho Falls are connected physically with improved roads and trails. We're connected virtually with fiber optic lines, power lines, and cell towers and all that communication that they make possible. And we're connected socially through service and the way that we step up to volunteer and do what needs to be done. That is why Idaho Falls is a great place to live. It's not just infrastructure and commerce that makes a city desirable or undesirable. It's mostly about our residents and the way that they connect with each other. So if this is our measure, I can confidently say that Idaho Falls has what it takes to embrace its next season of growth. This isn't just limited to my observations. Money Magazine recently named Idaho Falls as one of America's best places to live. And just 2 weeks ago, Heartland Forward ranked the Idaho Falls metropolitan area 17th out of the 379 metro areas of all sizes in the United States. And the best I could tell from studying their data, we are in the top 5 for metro areas our size. We definitely have earned a reputation for being a great place to live and to work. So, my friends and fellow citizens, with a 2020 in our rearview mirror, I can share with you what I've said in years past. The state of our city is strong, and Idaho Falls' future is bright. I always choke up every year when I say this, but I could not be more proud to serve you and to be a part of this great community. And so I thank you. And that's our state of the city. It's now my absolute pleasure to introduce something I've been wanting to do for 4 years, and it just didn't come together until now. But at this time, I invite all to join me in honoring 7 residents of our city, and they are the first ever recipients of the Mayor's Choice Awards. These awards are intended to recognize Idaho Falls citizens who have made a significant contribution that improved life in our city. So first, I'm going to take a quick drink. Thank you. First, I'd like to recognize Eastern Idaho Public Health. If there is any organization in this community worthy of recognition this year, it's Eastern Idaho Public Health. Jerry Rackow, who is the director, and her team of talented and highly dedicated professionals were thrust into the spotlight during what has become one of the most challenging and protracted global crises of our lifetime. Eastern Idaho Public Health is one of 7 independent public health districts in Idaho. And although based in Idaho Falls, they are also responsible for public health in Clark County, Custer, Fremont, Jefferson, Lemhi, Madison, and Teton counties. Their board is made up of people from all of those jurisdictions, which differ dramatically in composition and public need. So to manage the public health needs across such a varying demographic in normal times is challenging in and of itself. So just imagine how hard it's been in a year that wasn't normal. From the onset of this crisis, Jerry and her team have traveled across eastern Idaho, meeting with constituents and elected officials, implementing plans and policies to help guide our region through the pandemic. Here in Idaho Falls and Vaudeville County, we've worked integrally and closely with Jerry and her team from the pandemic's inception. We saw firsthand the incredible hours and long days that turned into weeks and then months, and now almost a year of pandemic response. Jerry and her team have worked countless hours, often very thankless hours, to bring together doctors and nurses, hospitals, first responders, government officials, healthcare providers, media, residents, and many, many others. It's often seemed like an impossible task to respond to such a rapidly changing environment where, after all this time, science still doesn't know the long-term effects and impact of this disease. But Jerry and her team have done a remarkable job helping us understand the best ways to deal with all this uncertainty. Their efforts have helped keep our hospitals open, our healthcare flowing, and our people equipped with the tools, information, and resources to stay safe and healthy. They have undoubtedly saved lives and helped to preserve this community. They've helped to preserve this community. And for that, tonight, we present them with the inaugural Mayor's Choice Award for Outstanding Community Commitment. Councilmember Francis is going to just take a moment and hold this up and hold up the award. Jerry Rackow is joining us online. If we could switch to the online. Where are you, Jerry? There, Jerry's in the top right corner there on the screen. And Jerry, we will get this to you. But we thank you so enthusiastically and earnestly for all that you've done. Thank you. Oh, we can't hear you. Is she able to unmute? Or can we unmute her?
Sorry about that. Mayor, thank you so much. I just want to say how much that we at Eastern Idaho Public Health have appreciated our collaboration with you, many of your directors and staff, and it has been an incredibly difficult year working together. We persevered, and again, we're excited to look forward to the end of this pandemic and come out of this as a stronger community together. So thank you so much for your support, and I am pleased to accept this recognition on behalf of over 100 employees and a board of health that is truly dedicated to our community. So thank you.
Thank you. We have so much respect. Appreciate that. All right. I turned one too many pages here. All right. So, next award. For more than 23 years, this local company has been helping promote the people and the places of Idaho Falls. But when COVID-19 hit the world and Idaho Falls, everybody essentially shut down, right? Life as we knew it stopped. Businesses closed down, events were canceled, travel stopped, and life was put on hold. And there was a toll. We lost our ability to interact and to communicate. We lost the essential ability to be together. And that really hurt. And it hurt all of us in some way or another. Where we once could gather regularly for a social function, for a lunch or a concert or any other number of ways that we used to get together, we instead had to turn to other solutions to try to make sure life was still able to go on. When all this happened, this company immediately contacted us and they said, how can we help? And in those beginning days of the pandemic, when the world literally stopped, they were right there saying, what can we do? In conjunction, with Eastern Idaho Public Health and many other of our local agencies. This company worked tirelessly and without compensation. Yeah, say that again. Without compensation, to come up with ways to get essential information to our community about COVID-19 and how to combat it. They volunteered to help local service organizations find ways to meet online, to share information, and to try and have a semblance of normalcy during a very abnormal time. Generously, they created weekly online virtual luncheons, presentations, and even the candidate debates for the primary elections last May. That's so important for our community to know who to vote for. And they facilitated that information, that flow of information. They created forums for online communication and interaction when in-person opportunities were and still are limited. They did it while struggling, like everyone else, to trying to juggle their new normal, figuring out how to work remotely, overcoming the personal effects of COVID illness for them and many of their employees and their family members, all while trying to pay their own bills. One organization I work with tried to pay them for some of this remarkable service, and they wouldn't take the money. They kind of shrugged it off and said, this is just the right thing to do. Despite all their own COVID challenges, Chad Hammond and Gary Stewart, owners of IE Productions here in Idaho Falls, have continued to volunteer their time, their talents, and their incredible experience to help our community get through the pandemic. Their uncommon generosity and constant willingness to put community and the public good ahead of personal and professional gain is uncommon, and that makes it remarkable. Anyone who knows them knows that they love Idaho Falls, and they've dedicated their lives to making this a better place for us all. And that's why we're presenting them with the Mayor's Choice Award for Outstanding Community Service. I see Gary Stewart is here this evening, and we'd like to maybe grip and grin and hand you the award here. All right, so get that over to your hands. Thank you, and please tell Chad that we're very grateful.
Absolutely. I will. Thank you, Mayor Kessler. I think both Chad and I are. Take it off the camera. Both Chad and I think we're lucky to grow up in this area, and it's just kind of natural that so many other people taught us that what you do when you see something that is a need in the community, you just do it. And so I don't think we're that unique in this community, but thank you very much. Thank you.
Some people might say that their mamas raised them right and they listened. Thank you so much. So, the Village Neighborhood Watch is a Facebook page that unites the village neighborhood. And that's the one that's that is adjacent to the city-owned soccer fields on the west side of the city, just past the airport. This Facebook page allows them to communicate and connect with each other. They share excess zucchini, give away hand-me-downs, locate lost pets, find bikes. They trade used furniture, reroute misdelivered mail, borrow tools, buy and sell school and team fundraiser items, and so on. I even saw that the page once helped to find the owners of a trampoline that had blown into some other neighbor's yard down the street. That's because this is Idaho, after all, and the wind blows. But when the shutdown hit, Heidi Van Camden Galbraith made a post on April 17th, 2020 that changed the course of history in this neighborhood. She wrote, "Hey friends, so there's a cool thing that some peeps in Australia and New Zealand are doing. They're making short videos of themselves taking out their garbage cans out to the curb each week. Anyone interested in doing something like that in the village? Maybe we could even give a prize or something." That post received one comment about bribing the kids to do it. It had 3 ha-has, 3 hearts, and 5 likes. So 1 week later, on April 23rd, Ms. Van Campen Galbraith posted, "I hope I'm not the only one dressing up to take the garbage out tomorrow." And then it was followed by a post of her in, I believe it was a princess costume, and she took out the trash. And it was about a 15-second, I didn't time it, but a video with her rolling her City of Idaho Falls trash can to the curb, dressed like a Disney princess. And that is when hashtag Garbage Day was born. Within 2 weeks, 5 more neighbors had joined in, and Mr. David Oliver was one of them. And I wanted to show you the videos, but we weren't able to make all of that come together just to bring those videos. But these pandemic-bored neighborhoods who seem to own an unusual number of elaborate costumes challenged each other to come up with creative ways to take out the trash and to film it. The Oliver family picked up the thread and truly, I think, elevated the art form. I have a lot of favorites, and several of them feature the Oliver household. The resultant videos have involved both talented and untalented individuals. I'm being really silly here, but the writing, acting, and filming has been both amazing and entertaining, while also being cringy and goofy at the same time. Mostly, I think it's just an excuse to dress up in costumes and be silly. And after each video, I have to tell you, I found myself looking forward to the next week's episode. I also was charmed by how many of these were produced or written or directed by kids. And we're talking, 8-year-olds. It's just fun. Nothing says, hey, pandemic, go jump in the lake, better than kooky moms and dads, brothers and sisters, parents and children, families and friends all coming together to star in homemade cell phone productions. If those families are anything like mine, I imagine that many of the productions were filled with laughs, opinions, eye rolls, creativity, excitement, arguments, fun, and a fair dose of embarrassment. My English high school teacher taught me that the role of the fool in Shakespeare's King Lear was to provide comic relief in the middle of the tragedy. So to the fools of the Village Neighborhood Watch, we offer this most sincere recognition. Not so much for the quality of the videos, but more for your spunk and your creativity and the sense of community that you've introduced into your little corner of Idaho Falls. So thank you to all the frustrated thespians in the village. And it's our pleasure to present you with the Mayor's Choice Award for Outstanding Community Spirit. Councilman Francis is going to help me pass these out, and we would invite you to come forward. All right. And let's go ahead and do a little photo here. Oops, sorry. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you both. Yes. Either one of you want to, Sure. Grab the mic.
Sure. We'll share a little bit. Thanks to our spouses for not divorcing us through this, and to be supportive, and especially Greg Galbraith for not looking at the receipts from Zuckers and never caring. And anyway, it was a lot of fun. And if anybody ever wants to, make funny videos, the way to do it is you only do one take. That's it, one take, and it's done. So thanks, everybody.
Thanks to Marion City Council for this. This is surreal and unexpected.
Yes.
Love it. Well, I will also say that the Village Neighborhood Watch page is a closed group. And so we've just bragged about it, and others can't find their way in. And so if there is some way that the savviest computer person amongst you could maybe make some of those videos available or something, that would be a treat for the rest of the community, because I know there are some other neighborhoods that might want to become close-knit as yours has. So thank you so much. That means a lot. All right. So next award. Our next honoree this evening is the Idaho Falls Senior Center. Their staff operates in a physical space where seniors in our community can gather. They serve meals and offer entertainment, information, and other programs that allow Idaho Falls seniors to develop friendships and enjoy spending time together. Senior Center staff members also prepare meals that Senior Center volunteers deliver to the seniors in our community who are homebound. Many of you have heard of the program entitled Meals on Wheels. That's theirs. As you can imagine, the Senior Center and the Meals on Wheels program have been hard hit by the pandemic. Its clientele is among the most vulnerable to the coronavirus disease. Gathering at the center has been out of the question, and consequently, the number of people who've needed home delivery of meals has skyrocketed for them. Over the course of the past year, they've had to develop new contactless home delivery protocols. They were used to just getting the previous meal's dinnerware and silverware back when the next meal was delivered, and they'd do a trade at the door. But they've had to find now even more funding just to purchase disposable serviceware. They've also had to round up more volunteers to drive, along with more vehicles to deliver these meals in. Through it all, the center has not given up. The center cannot charge for these meals, so the small staff has had to raise money like crazy. That is a stressful way to operate any program. When funds were low, they worked. When funds were less low, they still worked. When you take into account the fact that people of all ages need to eat every single day, the senior center hasn't had a day off. If they don't work, somebody doesn't eat. If the senior center cooks, they can't get sick. Too many lives depend on the safety of the product they put out every day. Well, they don't have a whole team of cooks that can rotate in and out if somebody doesn't feel good. They're small. Senior Center Director Belisa Say is here, along with head cook Pam Strongs, to accept recognition tonight. Pam has not missed a day since before the pandemic began. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's our honor to present you with this Mayor's Choice Award for outstanding humanitarian service. On behalf of all the people who eat, thank you. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. I couldn't do it without, I'm just the pencil pusher in the back office, behind the window. My staff, my volunteers, my board members, I couldn't do it without them. Pam, my cook, she's there before the snow plow in the morning, so if it wasn't for her, it wouldn't be. So it just takes all of us, and thank you guys. Wow, I don't know what else to say, but thank you. Much. Thank you. I'm hugging you, okay? It's probably not right, but I can help it. Thank you.
There's sanitizer in the hallway.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, we'll move on. If you think back to this past summer, it was a time of a lot of confusion and uncertainty. Well, actually, not even before the summer, the spring, when what looked like a few weeks of staying home and social distancing suddenly turned into canceling events like the 4th of July and the War Bonnet Roundup. Toilet paper and bottled water flew off the shelves as our nation struggled with supply chain issues. People suddenly found themselves out of work, standing in line for food and struggling with having to find masks and other basic necessities. Early on, you might remember that masks were nowhere to be found. Nobody started selling them or delivering them or selling them on Facebook at that point. All the PPEs had been taken for our first responders and medical personnel, and the whole community was searching for ways to comply with the new mask requirement and really with just how to get by and make sense of what was happening. I downloaded instructions on how to make one out of Band-Aid or rubber bands and a bandana. It didn't work, but we were all trying to be creative, right? So that's where we see enter Idahoan Foods. Deemed part of our critical infrastructure because they are a food manufacturer, Idahoan already had been hard at work making sure their employees had the supplies necessary to continue to put food on people's tables. So when Melaleuca CEO Frank Vandersloot challenged Idahoan Foods CEO Drew Facer to do the CEO Pay It Forward challenge and to perform acts of service in the community, Mr. Facer picked up the phone and he called me. He knew what a challenge it would be for the entire community to find face coverings, and he knew that people were struggling with that. So he and Idahoan Foods stepped up and stepped in a huge way. Drew and Idahoan mobilized their employees, and on a hot summer day in July that was also windy, standing outside their headquarters at Snake River Landing, they handed out 10,000 antimicrobial masks. Not only that, they also handed out their signature buttery home-style mashed potatoes to everyone who came to pick up a mask. On top of that, they also donated another 4,500 packages of potatoes to the Idaho Falls Community Food Basket. All in all, they donated and helped to distribute more than $37,000 in masks and potatoes to the Idaho Falls community. I personally delivered some of those masks to schools and to the Community Youth Action Live Teen Center. Their generosity and selfless donation helped to feed and protect thousands of city residents. While others were struggling with questions and uncertainty, Drew and Idahoan Foods stepped up and stepped in to find those answers and to help fill an essential need. And for that, we're proud tonight to recognize Drew Facer and Idahoan Foods and all of their philanthropic employees with the Mayor's Choice Award for Outstanding Philanthropic Contribution.
I'd like to thank Mayor Casper and the city leadership for the recognition of this award. And for the record, Mayor Casper did stand with our team, and she stood there for about an hour and handed out masks with the team. I really have a great appreciation for the team that I get to work with. They put together this in a very quick fashion and was able to stand out and hand out the masks over a couple-day period, and they did a great job. Idaho has been a part of the community for over 60 years. And we're proud to be able to provide a livelihood for so many people. We also are very proud of the fact that we work with the growers in this community. We have a great group of farmers. And without the farmers, we really couldn't do anything. We buy potatoes from them to make our fresh strike product. And so we're very proud and honored, Mayor Casper, to receive this award. One of our purposes is to delight and nourish lives, and this is a commitment that we'll continue to do as an organization. So to you and the city and the difficult job that you do, thank you very much.
Thank you. You know, we could have piped in fake applause, but it just might have cheapened the whole event. So we do have a very thin, 10-person crowd in the room tonight, but I think we're clapping in our hearts. So, last award. As society languished and with the physical and mental effects of the COVID pandemic this past year, one individual single-handedly brought a ray of sunshine to the entire world. Years ago, this individual's daughters introduced him to Instagram and then later to TikTok, where he found a following for his many videos of him dancing, singing, lip-syncing, skateboarding, and doing various other activities around Idaho Falls. In September, while on his way to work at the potato warehouse where he works, his vehicle, that had about 330,000 miles on it, broke down. So he pulled out his longboard, grabbed a bottle of Ocean Spray juice, and started skateboarding to work, singing an old Fleetwood Mac song. As they say, the rest is history. Now, with more than 73 million views, that post of Nathan Apodaca, a.k.a. Dogface208, on his way to work in Idaho Falls, came in as the second most viewed video in the world. And that was, and it's on TikTok's list of top 2020 viral videos. It inspired responses by Fleetwood Mac stars Mick Fleetwood, Lindsey Buckingham, and lead singer Stevie Nicks. Thousands of celebrities, athletes, movie stars, and other people around the world imitated his video, sharing the good vibes that he so openly talks about. Now, I didn't film a video, but I did buy some raspberry juice. Anyway, since that time, Mr. Apodaca has been on talk shows and been featured just about everywhere, from TMZ to the LA Times. He's now been recognized as the #1 most Googled person for 2020, most Googled person in the world for 2020. He's been named one of the heroes of 2020 by Mother Jones. He is credited with being one of the first to bring a glimmer of hope and happiness to a COVID-weary world. You know, we should never underestimate the power of those emotions, right? That little bit of joy. In addition to all that, with his newfound fame and fortune, he continues to celebrate his Idaho Falls roots, showcasing our city to the entire world. Mr. Apodaca has donated tens of thousands of dollars to Idaho Falls charities, and he continues to post videos every week from sites all around the city, celebrating the good vibes he's made so popular. So Mr. Apodaca is traveling right now, but we will present this award to him in person when he returns. And I suspect that if you haven't seen him or his videos, you soon will. As I'm told, he has some very big appearances that are coming up in the next few weeks. So this is why tonight we are pleased to recognize Idaho Falls' very own Nathan Apodaca, a.k.a. Dogface208, with the Mayor's Choice Good Vibes Award.
I always wondered who that was.
All right, there we go. Get a picture. If I can get this on. So I am done being at the podium, and we are able to move on with the balance of our meeting. But I thank you very much. If you can't tell, I love living here. also to the council members who helped with the awards. All right, so we are ready to move on to our regular agenda, or to the next item on our regular agenda, which is a single item coming to us from Public Works. I believe Director Frederickson is on the line, and Councilmember Freeman is the liaison to that department, and he's available on WebEx as well. And so, Councilmember Freeman, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce this item.
Thank you, Mayor. And that's a tough act to follow, so well done. From Public Works tonight, we have a professional services agreement with Murray Smith LLC for design work for a new dewatering facility at the wastewater treatment plant. Dewatering is a process that reduces waste removed from sewage down to an almost dry substance that is easier to transport and to store, and this will enable us to remove a storage lagoon and decrease our hauling costs. This is a big contract, as design work is generally around 10% of a project, and this entire project is expected to be around $12 million. The amount of this design contract is $861.52, and design work should take 12 to 14 months, and then we'll put this out for a construction bid next year. Anybody have any questions about it? Seeing none, I would move to approve the agreement with Murray Smith LLC and give authorization for the mayor and clerk to execute the necessary documents.
Second.
Thank you. We're ready then to proceed with a vote. We'll ask the city clerk to conduct that.
Smead?
Yes.
Hallie?
Yes.
Radford?
Aye.
Dingman?
Yes.
Freeman?
Yes.
Francis?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Very good, thank you. So now we have a few items coming to us from Idaho Falls Power. General Manager Bear Prairie is on the WebEx platform, and Councilmember Radford is as well. And so I'm going to go ahead and invite Councilmember Radford to bring up and introduce this first item, which has to do with a property purchase that we need for our utility. Councilmember Radford, it's yours.
Yes, thank you. We have talked about this a few times in our board meetings and throughout some other venues, but what this is we bought this property so that we could have an easement to be able to get to our substation. I'll just read from the agenda. As subdivisions have developed around the Harrison Southern Station, it's created a limited access route through a residential neighborhood. The situation is not ideal for community members, so IF Power has contracted to purchase an adjacent property for the substation where access would then be through a professional business park. At a later date, if it's decided to sell the property, Idaho Falls Power will sell with the contingency of maintaining an easement to the substation with access through the business park. Are there any questions? I think this has been talked about quite a bit. All right, hearing none, I would then move that we approve the property purchase sale agreement with Taylor LLC of Idaho Falls, Idaho for $196,368 and give authorization for the city clerk to execute the necessary documents.
Second.
Thank you very much. City clerk, will you conduct a vote?
Dingman?
Yes.
Smead?
Yes.
Francis?
Aye.
Freeman?
Yes.
Hallie?
Yes.
Radford?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Very good. So not only are the next two items from Idaho Falls Power related, but I believe a few of the ones that follow on after that come from municipal services. They're all somewhat related. And so liaisons, Smead and Radford, with your indulgence, I thought maybe it would be useful to start by inviting Director Prairie just to describe the entire project, so that then each of these components, we don't have to talk about them anew. They just become components that we're just taking care of all at once. Is that amenable to everyone?
You bet.
All right, so thank you. General Manager Prairie, why don't you go ahead and talk about the construction of the new substation and what's involved and why all of these different pieces are going to be needed for the power line as well.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. Really, this is the culmination of over 12 years of work. I've 13 years of work. So it just happened that all of these items landed on almost the same agenda. I remember about a month and a half ago, we went out for award for bid for the steel towers for the 161 line, and then all the other components ended up lining up for this agenda. So we're going to be purchasing the construction, awarding the construction for the contractor to build Payne Substation, awarding the contract or low bid for the steel for the substation. So it's all the hours and all the stuff that the switch gear and breakers and everything sets on. We're going to award the bid for the construction of the 161 kV line, so the actual sugar mill to Payne line, so the contractor to build that tonight also. So kind of a multitude of different items for the construction of that larger project.
All right, thank you. So, Councilor Radford, you have 2 items there in a row that you might want to not lump together or anything, but just go ahead and take the ball and run with it however you see fit.
You bet. And I'm going to take a point of privilege for 2 things here quickly. Just remind all the council members that our board reviews are due for tomorrow. So if you haven't done that, just a reminder. But also, I just want to take this moment to recognize Director Prairie, Director Flowers, and many, many others who worked very hard to make this come to fruition. But I also want to say that in general, we do a lot of important work here in government, but in the city council sometimes it's very practical. And in this case, I'm really, really pleased that we have an opportunity to really help a lot of people in Eastern Idaho, because not only will this help our community, it will help the communities north of us and throughout our region to have more reliable power. And when we can make that happen and partner with great partners and see that come to fruition, then we've really done something really worthwhile for a lot of people. So with that, I'll move on to these agreements. The first is the construction agreement with Summit Line Construction, the 161 kV line project. Following, so we just read through this. Following a statement of qualifications on June 6, 2020, Idaho Falls Power solicited bids from 8 approved contractors for the construction of the 161 kV line project. It is the recommendation of Idaho Falls Power to approve this bid from Summit Line Construction as the lowest responsive bidder. Rocky Mountain Power is a joint owner of this project and agrees that Summit Line Construction is the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. And the engineer's cost estimate for this project is $5,116,531. And any other comments? Anybody want to make a statement, or would you like to move forward? All right.
Ready for a motion?
I will go ahead.
Go ahead and make your motion.
I would move to approve the Summit Line construction agreement with Idaho Falls Power for the construction of the 161 kV transmission line from Lincoln Road to Payne Substation for a not-to-exceed amount of $5,169,234, and give authorization for the mayor to execute the necessary documents.
Second.
All right, we have a valid motion. City Clerk, will you conduct a roll call vote?
Okay. Francis?
Aye.
Dingman?
Yes.
Freeman?
Yes.
Hallie?
Yes.
Radford?
Aye.
Smee?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, thank you so much. Go ahead and talk about this next aspect of the project.
You bet. So the next is the construction agreement with ODEC for the 161 kV Payne substation. So the Idaho Falls Power received 7 bids for the construction of the new 161 kV Payne substation project. And it is at the recommendation of Idaho Falls Power to approve this bid from BODEC Incorporated of Christ, Utah, as the lowest responsible and responsive bidder. And the engineer's cost estimate from 2019 for this project is $2 million. Any comments? Okay, hearing none, I move that we approve the BODEC construction agreement with Idaho Falls Power for the construction of the new 161 kV Payne substation for a not-to-exceed amount of $2,490,568, and give authorization to the mayor to execute the necessary documents.
Second.
Thank you. It's a valid motion and it's ready for voting. City Clerk, will you conduct that?
Smead?
Yes.
Hallie?
Yes.
Dingman?
Yes.
Radford?
Aye.
Freeman?
Yes.
Francis?
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right, thank you very much. So now we move into some purchases that are actually administered through municipal services, but they also relate to this project. But if there are questions about the bid process or anything like that, we have Director Alexander, who is over municipal services, and we also have Councilmember Smead. And I will turn it to you, Councilmember Smead, for this series of purchases.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. The first of three here is we're looking at accepting and approving the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Clute Incorporated, for a lump sum total of $240,054.28. The lowest bid, which was actually from Galvanizers Incorporated, was deemed an incomplete bid. This purchase will provide structural steel and materials identified in the technical specifications and structural drawings for the project that Director Prairie or General Manager Prairie shared with us a few minutes ago.
All right, any questions, concerns? I guess we're ready for your motion.
All right. I move that we accept and approve the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Clute Incorporated, for a lump sum total of $240,054.28.
Second.
Thank you. City Clerk, will you conduct a vote for us?
Hallie?
Yes.
Francis?
Aye.
Radford?
Aye.
Dingman?
Yes.
Smead?
Yes.
Freeman?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, very good. Next purchase.
All right. Next, we're looking at authorizing to enter into the open market for the next purchase for wood power poles for Idaho Falls Power, based on our engineer's estimate of $130,020. Bid IF21-14 was published, but we didn't receive any bidders. And since no bids were received, we'd like to expedite this purchase for the Payne Substation project. And Idaho Falls Power has asked to enter into the open market. Any concerns or questions about this request to purchase?
I'm curious how many power poles?
Oh,
Director Prairie, do you know that answer, or Director Alexander? That was like 20, 16.
Put you on the spot again, Bear. Sorry.
It's actually, Steve Borman might know. I believe it's 5 or 6. It's not.
I think it's 11. So.
Is it 11? Okay, but they're
Somewhere in that 5 to 11 range.
It is 11.
They're also really tall, powerful, and the clearance that's required, so they're very expensive. They're not your typical poles that you see around town. They're actually about twice as tall as those, so they're pretty specialized.
Okay, thank you everybody for jumping in and trying to answer that. And then, are there other questions or comments before Councilor Smead makes her motion? All right, maybe not. Go ahead.
I would move to authorize to enter into the open market to purchase wood power poles for Idaho Falls Power based on the engineer's estimate of $130,020.
I'll second.
All right, City Clerk, that motion is ready for a vote. Can you conduct that?
Freeman?
Yes.
Radford?
Aye.
Smead?
Yes.
Francis?
Aye.
Dingman?
Yes.
Hallie?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, very good. One more purchase.
Yes, our final request tonight is authorization to enter into the open market again to purchase conductor, insulator, and switches for Idaho Falls Power based on the engineer's estimate of $1,382,100, or take other action deemed appropriate, which I hope will be to approve. Bid IF21-15 was published and again did not receive any bidders. So with no bids received and to expedite this purchase for the Payne Substation project, Idaho Falls Power would like to enter into the open market. Concerns, questions?
All right. Go ahead and entertain that motion.
I move to authorize to enter into the open market to purchase conductor, insulator, and switches for Idaho Falls Power based on the engineer's estimate of $1,382,100.
I'll second.
Thank you. City Clerk, can you conduct a vote?
Hallie?
Yes.
Radford?
Aye.
Francis?
Aye.
Dingman?
Yes.
Smee?
Yes.
Freeman?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, very good, thank you. We have one remaining item, which is a change to the city's, I can't even talk, the city's code, and these are cleanup changes. But I'd like to turn it over to Councilmember Hallie, who is our liaison to legal services, to explain a little bit more about what's happening.
Thank you, Mayor. Our legal department reviews a lot of written documents and codes and so forth, and looks over them and tries to streamline them and correct errors and so forth. And this is just a standardized reference. Most of the changes refer to the city clerk as clerk. And it's just a housekeeping issue, really. But it is an ordinance. It's a change to the ordinance, and so has to be brought before the council on the regular session.
All right. So, council members, any questions, concerns, thoughts about this that you want to share? It is, because it's so much housekeeping, probably people aren't objecting to that for any reason. So, Councilor Hallie, I will invite you to make a motion, and then I will encourage anyone who wants to make the second, because we don't have two liaisons in legal. We only have the one. So, Councilor Hallie.
Thank you, Mayor. I make the motion to approve the ordinance amending city code to standardize references to the clerk under the suspension of the rules requiring 3 complete and separate readings, and request that it be read by title and published by summary.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion, we've got a second. City Clerk, will you conduct a vote on that?
Okay. Francis?
Aye.
Dingman? Dingman?
Yes.
Freeman?
Yes.
Hallie?
Yes.
Radford?
Aye.
Smee?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, very good, City Clerk. We will ask you to read it by title.
An ordinance of the City of Idaho Falls, Idaho, a municipal corporation of the State of Idaho, providing for the amendment of Idaho Falls City Code, amending numerous city code provisions to standardize references to the city clerk, and providing severability, codification, publication by summary, and establishing effective date.
Very good, thank you. And thank you, City Attorney, for all that tedious work of making those changes and identifying them. So we've reached the end of our agenda in terms of action items. I do have some announcements, and of course I'll invite others to share as well. I appreciate Councilor Radford reminding everybody about their evaluations tomorrow. The more information we have, the better our discussion will be. Also, everybody, the Martin Luther King holiday, also known in Idaho as Human Rights Day, or their, did I get it right? No, Idaho Human Rights Day, I think is what it's called. It has 2 names, but anyway, the city will be closed on Monday, and so if you have business to conduct, you'll have to put it off to Tuesday, but of course you can always make payments and such at our 24-hour kiosks. Don't forget the Idaho Falls Family Happy Hour debut this Saturday at 5:30 p.m. Tune into Facebook for that. And we're still looking for sponsors, so if anybody is interested in that wonderful endeavor, let us know. And don't forget also, if you have interest or medical training that you'd like to put to use, don't forget the medical core, what's the R? MRC? Anyway, don't forget that Eastern Idaho Public Health is looking for those volunteers. And with that, our council members, do any of you have any announcements to share with the group?
I have an announcement, Mayor.
Councilor Hallie.
Wednesday the 20th, the new president and vice president will be sworn in to run the country as president and vice president.
Very good. Very good. It's hard to escape that, but people can pin down the time of day, so thank you for that. Councilor Radford?
With that announcement, Councilor Hallie reminded me that I think January 19th has been designated as a National Day of Service in honor of non-region. So if anyone wants to think of a service project that would be meaningful, it's a great thing to honor the change.
Thank you. I didn't know that, and that's a wonderful thought. Something else is if you can't come up with or can't involve yourself in some formal service, there's always the pay it forward option. You never know whose life you're going to bless with a pay it forward at the drive-thru. So it's a simple cheat, but it still feels good. Any others have announcements? All right. Well, with that, council members, I think I'm ready to entertain a motion to go into executive session. I'm not sure, is it Councilor Francis who's going to make that for us tonight?
Yes, I think so. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
I move council move into the executive session. The executive session has been called pursuant to the provisions of Idaho Code 74-2061CB to consider the evaluation, dismissal, or disciplining of, or to hear complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent. The executive session will be held in the City Annex Conference Room. At the conclusion of the executive session, council will not reconvene into a regular council meeting.
And I just want to let the public know that decisions are never made in executive session, only conversation. I think we needed to correct the code citation. Is it just B? Yeah. So it was. It says Idaho Code Section 74-2061B, and there's no C there. And so, but that's what. It's just a little misprint in our on our agenda. So, Councilor Francis, do you have any objection to that correction?
No, perfectly good. Thank you.
All right, and then who made the second?
A second.
Thank you. Okay, we've got a couple there, so take your pick, City Clerk.
Okay.
And with that, we'll ask the City Clerk to conduct a roll call vote.
Okay. Freeman.
Yes.
Francis.
Aye.
Alley.
Yes.
Radford.
Aye.
Smead.
Yes.
Dingman.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, so with the passage of that, we will take a brief recess and relocate into the small conference room for those who are physically here. Council members, you can dial into that second invitation for that platform there. I had anticipated maybe a 5-minute break, but I'm thinking I like round numbers. So let's aim to be on no later than 9:20, and if we can be on before then, great. But we'll look for all 6 of us or 7 of us by 9:20. So thank you, and good night, everybody. Thank you for attending our City Council meeting.